In this video, we are going to find the biggest window between the visits by a user. Hello, this is Jagan from Grow with Data. I am posting this video to share my knowledge in SQL with you. If this assists you in your interview preparation anyways, I will be happy. Welcome to the 46th video of our Advanced SQL 50 Interview Question series. We have different topics to cover and we are now covering the topic related to the CTE and Windows function. In this video, will be tagged in Advanced SQL 50 Interview Question Series playlist. The code we discuss in this video will be uploaded to the GitHub. The link for the GitHub page will be in the video description part. Now let's see the data and we can talk about the question in detail. So we are given a table called UserVisits. It got a user ID and the visit date. So each user visits a mall and their visit date is tracked here. User 1 visited the mall on October 20th, the next visit on November 28th and December 3rd. For user 2, the first visit is on October 5th and then December 9th. And third user visited only once, which is on November 11th. Let's create the table. So what they're asking us to do is, we have to write a solution that will, for each user ID, you find the largest window of days between each visit and the one right after it. So consider the current date is going to be 2025 Jan 1st. Okay. So now if you see this user 1, he visited on October 20th and then went back to the mall on November 28th. So the date difference is going to be 39 days. So from October 20th, we have 11 days and then 28 days. So 39th day, the user visited the mall. And for the second record, after 11/28, he visited on December 3rd. So the day interval is 5 days. And the last day, December 3rd, after that, the user haven't visited the mall. So we just consider the Jan 1st, 2025 as the next day and we see what is the date difference between the current date and the last visited date. So this is going to be 29 days. And same like for user 2, the first visit on October 5th and the second visit is on December 29th. So the date difference is going to be 65 days. And for this user, we are going to check the difference between December 9th and the current date, which is January 1st. So it's going to be 23 days. And for the last user, we have only one record on November 11th and we check the difference between November 11th and the current date, which is January 1st. It's 51 days. If you check for every user, we have 39, 5 and 29. So the biggest interval is going to be 39 days. For this user, it's going to be 65 days. And third user, only one record. So we have 51 days. So this is what is asked. For user 1, the largest window is 39. For user 2, it's 65. User 3 is 51. So how will we track this? So we are going to do in two approaches. One is the self join, the other one is the Windows function. So first we have to find for the each visit what is going to be the next visit, and then you find the difference between the dates and get the maximum grouping by the user ID. So this is what the approach we are going to do. So the first one is the self join. You know what is a self join, right? We just connect the same table to itself and it's called a self join. Okay, so the table is user visits. We say alias name A, so A dot user ID and A dot visit date. So this is the data we got. For user 1, 3 records, user 2, 2 records, user 3 is 1 record. Now I have to get the next visit. So I'm going to join the same table and both the tables will be connected based on user ID. On b dot user id equal to a dot user id, and then I'm making sure the second visit should be greater than the first visit. So b dot visit date should be greater than a dot visit date. So what happens for this record? 1128 and 123 are greater, right? So if I bring in b dot visit date, so for October 20th I have 1128, and you should bring for 1, for 2, user id equal to user id, and b dot visit date should be greater than a dot visit date. So for 1 we got 1128, and then let's order by this so we can see it clearly. Order by 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we see this October 20th we got 1128 and 123. So October 20th we got 1128 and 123. For November 28 we got 123, and for 123 we have to bring in the next, which is the current date. So the inner join is not going to work, so I put the left join. So if I run this, for 1020 I got 1128 and 123. So 1128 and 123. For 1128 I got 123. For 1128 I got 123. For 123 there is no next visit, so it's showing us null. Same way for user 2. For 10.5 I got only 1, so 12.9 I got this, and for 12.9 there is no record, so null. And third the same. So if it's a null, right, that means it's a lost record. I have to replace null with the current date. coalesce, coalesce function. If it's null, you just show me 2025-01-01 as next visit. So for corresponding date, what is the next visit? If I run this, the null will be replaced by 2025-01-01, right? Okay, so I got for 1020 I got 2 records, but I need only the next record. I should not go for both the records, right? So for 1020 I had to consider only 1128. For 1128 I should consider only 1203. So how will I remove the next record? I can simply say the minimum of this record. So 1020 have 2 records, 1128 and 123. So if I get the minimum, then 1128 is the only one survives. Since I use aggregate function, I say group by 1, 2. So if you see this, I got only one record now. The next record joins here. So 1028, we got 1128. For 1128 is December 3rd, and December 3rd is the current date, 25-01-01. So that issue is fixed. Now I have to find the difference between the visit date and the next visit date. Next visit date. Since this is a normal record and this is going to be the aggregation, the best part is I can just create a CTE table. So I don't need order by at this point. So I can say from this CTE table, you select raw data. So a dot user ID, and then I have visit date, and then I have next visit date. Now I need to find the difference between the dates. So date diff. Since I use mysql, the function I use is date diff. If it's SQL server, it might be date underscore diff. And Teradata might be different function. So you can check on the syntax. So date difference The starting date is going to be the largest one, which is the next visit date, and the next one will be the smallest date, which is the a dot visit date. So here I will say the date difference. Now if I run this, so I get the date difference between this. So 39, 5, 29. That's what we saw, right? 35, 39, 5, 29, 65, 23, and 51. So we get the difference now. Now I have to get the maximum out of it. Out of 39, 5, and 29, I get the maximum. So for that, I don't need this two. You can simply say, get me the maximum of all the difference, and the column is going to be the difference window, which is the maximum window, max window. Since I use aggregation function, I say group by user ID. So if you see this, for user 1, it's 39. For user 2, it's 65. For user 3 is 51. So I got the window difference and then I got the maximum out of it. So the expected result is here. Great. So this is a self join where we just join the user visit to itself and make sure it connects with the user ID and the visit date is greater than the second visit date is greater than the first visit date. And we took the minimum out of it so that I track only the next record. Then I find the difference between the next visit and the current visit and then find the maximum out of it. So I got the expected output. So this is self join. Now how will I do this using a Windows function? So in Windows function, we have row number, rank, dense rank and all that. Along with that, we studied something called lead and lag. So lead is going to be tracking the future record. The lag is going to track the previous record. So I'm going to use that logic. So I'm going to use the same table, user ID and the visit date, which is the given data here. So 1, 2 and 3. Now I am going to say the lag part, which is going to be, if I take this, this is going to the previous one, right? The lag of a dot visit date over partition by a dot user ID and then you order by a dot visit date. So I can have say x. Same way I am going to use the lead function. So instead of lag, I say lead. So here I say it's a y. So if I run this, you can see the difference. So for 1029, the first one is lag, that means previous record. So there is no previous record, so it's null. For 1128, the previous record is 1020. For December, the previous record is 1128. So the lag works fine. The lead the same way. If it's 1020, the next record is 1128. It comes here. For 1128, next record is December 3rd. It's here. So the lead and lag is here. But I don't need the lag. I need only the lead function. For this visit, what is the next data? So I can remove this. So if I run this, I get the first process. For October, I get the next visit November here. And for November, the next visit December, it's here. And for December, there's no next visit, so it's null. So how will I replace the null? I did a coalesce function here. So I use the same logic, coalesce function. If it's going to be null, then you use the current date, which is January 1st. So if I run this, we eliminate the null value with 2025. So I got this part. Since this Windows function will get only one lead function, right? So you don't get the duplicates. So you don't have to go for the minimum. Now, since it's a same level of record, that's no aggregation part, right? So I can simply say visit date minus the y, visit date minus this coalesce function of the lead is going to be the difference. Sorry, for date we say date diff of the next date, the largest date comes first and then comes the smaller date. So that will give the difference. So if I run this, date diff of course, so date, come on, some, okay. So the coalesce function, the bracket is missing. 1, 2, oh, coalesce 0 is missing here. Okay. Come on. So say incorrect date format. 0. Oh, okay. So visit date. So it has to be this function, right? Okay. So if it's null, then you just get this and then you go with the a dot visit date. Okay. You messed up something and it's the difference. So now we got the difference. This is the visit date and this is the next day, and what is the difference? So we got 39, 5, 29, 65, 23 and 51. So the CT function, whatever we did here plus the difference, all this has been calculated in this. So to find the maximum out of it, I can simply say with raw data as, we go here, select from raw data, here we get user ID and maximum of the diff column as maximum window. Since it's aggregate function, we go with group by 1. So the same logic here, the difference is calculated in the CTE itself and we got the expected result 39, 65 and 51. So instead of doing a big calculation here, what I can do is I can take this off from here and then I can calculate the difference in the main query. I can just say this way, this alias name A. Okay. So now instead of doing the calculation, the date difference in the CT table, I am doing the date difference here. So this column is already been calculated. So it's called Y. So date difference of Y and the visit date. So if I run this, I got the same result. Now there is too much of code in the previous format. Now it looks a little bit simpler. And if you see the self join, it's quite a few join and we use the same table twice. But here we use it only once and put that in a CT table and we work on that part of it. So I prefer going with CT table in this scenario, provided if the user table is a larger table to do a self join. So you can practice this code and the link will be in the video description. If you go to the playlist advanced SQL 15 interview questions, in the description part you can see the GitHub link. If you go here, you see the GitHub link. It will take you to the code base. The one we are seeing now is the biggest window between. So that video will have this link. You have the create table statement, the self join, and then the approaches we did. The date difference calculated the CT table, and then we simplified that in the second version. You can use this for your practice. If you want to join the WhatsApp channel, there is a link here. You can use this and join Growth Data WhatsApp channel. I can just post the short videos before I put that in the YouTube. Hope you like this video and thanks for watching.